Okay, we now know that we have an incredibly important budget showdown next week. I want to explain to you where we are, what's happening, and what the call to action is, because this is really important. And sadly, we stand to lose a lot if we don't get this right, so let's get it right. There are two versions of a budget bill moving right now, right? Republicans and Trump have a bunch of priorities that they want to get done, and they're disagreeing a little bit about whether they want to get those priorities done in two separate bills or one big bill. And as I've told you before, Senate Republicans prefer the two-bill approach. And so what we saw happen last night was that they passed the first part of their two-bill package. Now, the Senate bill that was passed last night, as Democrats made a lot of effort to tell you all, is awful. It's greedy, it's terrible, it disproportionately helps rich people at the expense of people who are struggling or just working Americans, and it did pass. But ultimately, the House bill is the one that Trump has endorsed. So of the two versions, the House bill is the one they are likely to go with. That is Plan A. The Senate bill is Plan B. And the House bill, we just found out today, is going to get a vote on Tuesday of next week. This is the bill we have to stop. The House bill makes the Senate bill look like a bunch of puppy dogs and butterflies. It's a really friendly bill compared to the House bill, which is like Freddy Krueger, okay? It is a really deeply evil bill. So a friendly reminder about what is in this House bill. Yes, there is funding for oil and gas drilling, which will exacerbate the climate crisis. There is funding for more mass deportation, which is absolutely not doing anything except causing terror and cruelty. But the large part of the House bill are these giant tax cuts for the very wealthiest people in the country. $4.5 trillion worth of tax cuts, all of which are going to people who don't need tax cuts, right? Tiny percentage of them will go to American people, as I've said before, about $1 a day if you're lucky. But the vast majority of them are going to your Elon Musks and your Jeff Bezoses and your big pharma, your big healthcare, your big oil and gas. Those are the entities that are going to benefit from these cuts. And in order to pay for these cuts in the House bill, Republicans are doing two things. They are borrowing $4 trillion, so they want to raise the debt ceiling by $4 trillion. They're going to blow up our deficit. And then the other way they're going to pay for these giant tax cuts is by basically taking everything away they can from people like you and me. So we've talked already about the Medicaid cuts. There will be drastic cuts to Medicaid, drastic cuts to SNAP. There will be drastic cuts to ACA funding, the subsidies that many of us count on to pay for our ACA. Those will be gone. And also for higher education. So if you're a student loan borrower, you'll likely be paying about $200 more a month under the Republican plan. So it's really very straightforward. It is a rob from the poor to give to the rich bill. And Republicans are foaming at the mouth to pass it. So Tuesday is when they have their big vote. So make no mistake, if House Republicans pass that version, then that is the version Republicans are going to coalesce and get behind, not the Senate version. Here's where I want to give you some hope, and here's where I want to give you your call to action. I want you to remember that House Republicans have a tiny majority. Right now, they can afford to lose one vote. It is very, very hard for House Republicans to agree on anything, and now they are going to be all expected to agree on this giant bill, which there are things in it that various House Republicans may not be super psyched about. Now, there's going to be tremendous pressure on them to get behind it and pass it because Trump says so, and, he's their big daddy. But they also have to listen to their constituents. They have to, because they'll lose their jobs if they don't. So it is your job as constituents to hit the phones today and then hit them again tomorrow and hit them again the day after and hit them twice a day between now and Tuesday, especially if you have a Republican representative, and tell them, I see what you're doing. I see that you are taking money away from the poor and the working class to give to the rich. How dare you? Don't you dare. Don't you dare vote for this bill or you will lose your job. Okay? There is a script in 5 calls that is great. I've got a script in my link tree, or just call and use your own words. You understand what's happening. They're trying to take away from you to give to the Koch brothers and Betsy DeVos. Don't let them do it. This is where we use our voices and we stop this bill from happening. You can do it. I believe in you. I believe in us. And I believe that the many are more powerful than the money. So let's get to work. We have till Tuesday.